Hey mates, we have two chairs. Which one would you prefer and why? Keep that in mind for a couple of minutes. We are more or less sitting between the chairs. One is ornamental, made out of wood, with very skilled hands, with passion and time, made in one piece or a small series, made to last and to be passed to the next generation. The other one is the Eames side chair, a design icon, created in the 50s, produced over millions of times for 70 years now. It's a good taste, it's good design, but it's mass taste, because you have to create machines and forms to produce these shapes millions of times. But to sit between these two chairs, there's obviously space for another chair. But how can we get the best of both worlds and avoiding the worst? We have the past and we have the present, but what about the future? And when we have the past, the present, and the future, which is kind of a trinity of time, and we have these handcraft and industrial or digital craft, we have also a trinity searching for this new kind of craft. And because I kind of like trinities since my preparation here, I would introduce you to some more. So there are trinities out there where you have one of three possible states. And we have other trinities where you can combine all three states. We have a trinity of matter. So every matter we know is liquid, solid, or gas. We have a trinity of color. So every color, or these three colors, can be mixed to every color we know in the world. So we also have trinities in human behavior. Think about your social role. Are you a leader? Are you a follower or an observer? What is your cultural influence? And jumping back to the beginning, for which of these two chairs did you decide? Are you more for the wood one with the details, so you're more in the tradition? Or are you more for the Eames chair, always looking for innovation? Or are you in between? You want to preserve the tradition, but you're always looking for innovation. So there are a lot of trinities out there, and when you make up your mind, you will find some more. But today I want to talk with you about my special trinity, and it's the trinity of manufacturing. And it's about man, matter, and machines. And to say right away, man means mankind, and is including all genders. But it looks much nicer to keep it like that. And it comes with another trinity supporting me today, which most of you would probably call the trinity of evil. It's about AI, it's about plastic, and it's about robotics. So that's me. 15 years ago, when I started my journey to change the world. Okay, to be honest, the photo was taken a couple of days ago, but actually I bought this mug 7 years ago, changing my life a bit. So just imagine this photo is much older, I'm much younger, starting my journey to change the world and fill the gap between handcraft and industrial craft, mass production. Empowering myself to change the world with the idea of nothing is impossible. Learning all the tools to make a change. And finally, I did some products, but to be honest, competing with big companies like the Swedish one is quite difficult in terms of design and the pricing for design. So, but at least I realized something. And it's about skills. Or to start, we all know the term form follows something. And before form could follow function, it should follow skills. So the more skills you develop, the better you are in whatever you are doing, no matter which profession you have. So luckily, I was good enough in learning all the tools like modeling skills and also learning all the manufacturing skills that I was hired by the movie industry. And in these times, competing with these big Swedish brands and other designers and so on, I was able to custom make products for the movie industry. And luckily, I had the time and the space to tackle the newest technologies, such as 3D printers, 3D scanning systems, CNC machines, and finally, my big love, just in terms of tools, a robot arm. But not like that, bit more like that. But just a minute. This is not the picture you should have in mind when you think about robotics, cold and technical. Forget about that. I want you to think of robots more like this tiny guy. So robots were born in mass production. They were born for repeating tasks, heavy tasks, and also dangerous tasks. But they're just like our human arm, with a couple of degrees of freedom, free movement in free space. But they have a high accuracy, repeatability, and they are not getting tired or nervous. So they're helping us to improve our skills and bring us to some other skills we were not able before. So coming back to my personal trinity, we have this trinity of man, matter, and machines, and we need all of them. So the man is the mind trying to improve the world. And obviously, we need the matter to shape it. And machine is a bridge enabling us, man, to shape this material. And there's a dance between these three states. So we can decide how much man is inside our process. How much machines do we need? How much material do we need for our new process we create? And coming back to the first picture with these two chairs, just think about how much of the man-matter machine is into both chairs, and it's quite different. So the aim is to bring the visions to reality and to be mindful and sustainable with our limited matter. And in the end, to democratize technology. And there's another trinity. It's a trinity of fabrication techniques. So imagine every treatment of matter in the world is based on these three techniques. It's additive, subtractive, and formative. So knitting a scarf is kind of additive, right? So sawing a piece of wood is kind of subtractive. Folding a piece of paper is kind of formative. And it's the same dance, right? You can combine these manufacturing techniques. And when you combine them in a process, it's called hybrid manufacturing. So the most prominent representatives of this group are, in a robotic setup, is 3D printing, it's CNC milling, and it's incremental sheet forming. And I will show you some of them. So in terms of 3D printing, we all know 3D printers, but they are only stacking 2D layers on each other. But in a robotic setup, we are able to really print free in the room on different planes, and we have a large-scale manufacturing. The same is for CNC milling. We have more space, more freedom in terms of milling. And we have this crazy new technique called incremental sheet forming, where we enable ourselves to treat metal in a way was just able before by the mass industry with big stamping tools which cost millions. And now here we are able to just clamp a piece of sheet of metal, and just by constant moving on it, we're able to deform it three-dimensional, and also with undercuts, which is not possible by the industry. So now imagine you can combine all of these techniques in one robotic setup. So we can change manufacturing completely. But to change it or to combine all these techniques in one setup, at least we need hybrid materials. And because I think you love trinities, we need another one, the final one. There's a trinity of matter. And I think you will agree that we can put it in these three classes. It's organic, it's mineral, and it's synthetic. And for example, we have something organic like wood. We can mill it, we can deform it. We have something mineralic like metal. We can print it, we can deform it, and we can mill it. And to print and deform metal is quite interesting right now for spacecraft. But we have these synthetic ones. And this is my focus right now. So we all have this picture in mind when we think about plastics. But it's not about plastic itself. Plastic is not evil. It's how we treat plastic. We all have this picture, but order it a little bit, sort it a little bit, you have it something like that. Sort the materials by type of plastic and also by color. And you can recycle them again and again. You can reuse them hundreds of times for the next hundreds of years. And still, we produce 400 million metric tons of plastic each year. And at the same time, we create 400 million metric tons of waste a year. And we can switch to bioplastic, because when we really need virgin plastics, we just can take bioplastics. Fill it up with additives, bio-based, from leaves, pine cones, nutshells. So just to make it really simple, let's have a pile of recycled plastic. And let's say you want to have a shelf. Create it easily with 3D printing. And if you want to get rid of the shelf, when you're fed up with this, just shred it back to a pile of recycled plastic. And maybe you have this nice chair frame in your garage and you want to create this nice seat shell. Just do it, print it. And probably you will have it for the next years or decades. And on one day you want to get rid of that design and just shred it back to recycled plastic. Maybe because you have a kid now and you want to build him a nice stool. So that's all possible with these new kind of techniques. And if you bring it all together, you have these couple of trinities, and you have this idea of combining them in different kind of ways. And that means we have so much possibilities by just combining them in a regional setup. What a wonderful world it could be. So we all don't know how the future will look like. It's one possible image. And I deeply believe nobody wants to create a bad world. But I think the larger the system, the more difficult is it to react on things. So the system is kind of lazy. And I think we can enable ourselves to make the change. Because we were fit enough to create things like AI and create robotics. And we created for us to create new things. There's one big utopia in my head where I want to go to. And this is kind of the best image I generated with AI. It's about having these kind of microfactories in the neighborhood surrounding the globe, where handcraft meets digital craft, where you create new things, but just if you really need them, where you create it from materials which you have locally, and you hold it in a closed loop and recycle them or regrow them. We are sitting between two chairs, but there's a wide range of possibilities now. We have more possibilities than ever, but much less excuses not to start right now. Thanks.